Diamondback is a B&M hypercoaster at Kings Island in the Rivertown section of the park. It has a height of 230 feet, drop of 215 feet, speed of 80 miles per hour, length of 5,282 feet, making it a little shorter than Orion, has an angle of 74 degrees, and opened in 2009. So Diamondback was the first major roller coaster Cedar Fair invested for Kings Island when they bought it from Paramount. And this ride brought the park back to its elite status, in my opinion. Diamondback has a B&M clamshell restraint with seat belts, and these are currently my favorite type of restraint because they let you have so much airtime room. In terms of theming, it has little to offer with the exception of some minor Western details. It does, however, have a cool splashdown effect, and in the queue line it has a clear box filled with broken phones ejected from the ride, which I kind of thought was cool. The queue line also has plenty of fans spraying water on guests, which felt great in August when I went. The ride begins with a large drop of 215 feet into back-to-back camelbacks, and all three elements give really good sustained floater airtime. There is a slight rattle at the bottom of the first drop, but it's pretty much glassy smooth for the rest of the ride. I was not expecting this level of airtime during these first three moments because I was out of my seat what felt like 5 seconds in all three in the back row. After that, you go into a turnaround and then to a trimmed camelback hill, which is still good in the back. Then you go into a helix into the mid-course brake run. The pop after the mid-course is really good in the back row, and it gives sustained flow ejector. The ride then goes into two back-to-back bunny hills that give decent airtime in the back row. The ride then turns into a helix into the splashdown finale, but the drop into the splashdown gives a nice pop of airtime, and then you go into the brake run. The splashdown's cool off ride, but it pretty much just feels like a brake run on ride. Diamondback was my first hypercoaster, so I can't judge it versus other B&M hypercoasters, but I will say I prefer it to Orion, pretty much because it just has more airtime. Diamondback is also a little longer in duration than Orion, despite not having as long of a track length, because of all its massive airtime hills, which I guess kind of hurts its pacing, but it's not like Orion's the most intense thing in the world. I also prefer it to Mystic Timbers for pretty much the same reasons. I mean, Diamondback just has more airtime. So in my opinion, Diamondback is a masterpiece by B&M, and is not only my favorite B&M, but also my favorite coaster overall, as of right now. Now, keep in mind that the only major parks I've been to are Kings Island, Six Flags St. Louis, Disney World, and Holiday World, but I have not ridden Voyage yet, because I'm too much of a chicken, but I'll ride it next time. Diamondback is still very good, and you shouldn't just write it off immediately as a forceless, boring hypercoaster. You should definitely plan on riding this on your next visit to Kings Island.